Commentary highlights of the French Open first round match. One of his channel's favourite players, Jakub Mensik, playing a home nation player in the first round of the French Open, Alexandre Muller. So first game of the match at 15-all. And Alexandre Muller serving. Alexandre Muller with a centre of the box serve. Jakub Mensik forehand return centre. Alexandre Muller and strikes one right. Jakub Mensik backhand return centre. Then forehand. And then Alexandre Muller strikes a backhand to right. And Jakub Mensik backhand to left. Then Alexandre Muller backhand to right. And Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to the right with a bit on it. And it's a winner. So 1-1 on serve in the first set. Alexandre Muller serving. And Alexandre Muller with a serve centre of the box, and Jakub Mensik backhand return centre a bit on it, but then Muller returns, and then forehand to forehand. And then Jakub Mensik backhand to right, and Alexandre Muller backhand to left, and then Jakub Mensik backhand to left a bit on it, and then forehand. It's a forehand drop shot from Jakub Mensik, and Alexandre Muller onto it with a slice shot. Jakub Mensik returns it, but then with the next shot in there, Alexandre Muller with an overhead smash just from the net. And it's a winner. So 40-15. And Alexandre Muller with a wide serve. Jakub Mensik forehand return centre. Alexandre Muller strikes a backhand to the right with a bit on it. And Muller in there. Jakub Mensik backhand return. But then Alexandre Muller in there with a forehand volley on the next shot from just by net with a forehand volley to the right. And it's a winner for Alexandre Muller to hold serve in that service game. So Jakub Mensik serving. On serve in the first set. Jakub Mensik with a central serve bit on it. Backhand to backhand. And then Alexandre Muller forehand to right a bit on it. Jakub Mensik forehand centre. Then Alexandre Muller forehand to right a bit on it. Jakub Mensik forehand centre. Forehand drop shot from Alexandre Muller. Jakub Mensik onto it with a backhand drop shot to the left from just by the net. And it's a winner. So 40-love. Jakub Mensik with a central serve. Alexandre Muller forehand return centre. Then Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to left. Alexandre Muller returns. But then further forward, Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand to the left. And it's a winner to hold serve. So Jakub Mensik serving on serve in this first set. And Jakub Mensik with a wide serve with a bit on it, but Alexandre Muller strikes a forehand return winner ace to the right with a bit on that return, and it's a forehand return winner ace from Alexandre Muller. So 5-all on serve. Alexandre Muller serving. Alexandre Muller with a central serve. Jakub Mensik backhand return centre. Alexandre Muller strikes shot to left for a bit on it. Jakub Mensik returns and backhand Alexandre Muller to the right, and then forehand. Then Jakub Mensik forehand to the centre. Alexandre Muller forehand to the left, and Jakub Mensik with backhand Alexandre Muller forehand to the right. Jakub Mensik forehand to left, and Alexandre Muller forehand to left, and Jakub Mensik backhand to centre. Alexandre Muller with backhand structure right, bit on it. Jakub Mensik returns and a forehand structure right for Alexandre Muller, bit on it. Jakub Mensik returns and it's forehand drop shot left for Alexandre Muller. And Jakub Mensik's onto it. And it's a forehand short-angled drop shot to the right, return from Jakub Mensik, and it's a winner. So game and first set, Jakub Mensik 7-5. So 1 set to love Jakub Mensik 7-5 in the first set. But in the second set, Jakub Mensik serving, but it's a break point for Alexandre Muller, 30-40. Jakub Mensik with a central serve bit on it. Alexandre Muller for on turn. Jakub Mensik back on. Alexandre Muller for on to left for a bit on it. Jakub Mensik for on turn. Alexandre Muller strikes for on to right with a bit on it. Jakub Mensik with backhand return, and it's a backhand volley to the right from Alexandre Muller. A bit short and Jakub Mensik onto it, but then Alexandre Muller with a volley shot to left from just behind that on the next shot, and Alexandre Muller with a breaker serve in the second set. On serve in this second set, Jakub Mensik serving. Love. Jakub Mensik with a central serve bit on it. Alexandre Muller backhand drop turn. Jakub Mensik onto a backhand drop shot to the left. Alexandre Muller returns, but then Jakub Mensik then strikes a backhand to the right, and it's the winner. 4-all on serve. Alexandre Muller serving. Alexandre Muller with a central serve. Jakub Mensik backhand return to right, and Alexandre Muller forehand to left, and Jakub Mensik forehand to the right, and Alexandre Muller forehand to the right. Then Jakub Mensik forehand to centre, and Alexandre Muller backhand struck to the right with a bit on it, and it's a backhand winner. So it is a tie break in the second set, and Alexandre Muller serving the first point of the tie break in the second set. Alexandre Muller with a serve centre. Jakub Mensik backhand return to right, bit on it. Alexandre Muller forehand slice return to the right. Jakub Mensik forehand struck to right, bit on it. Alexandre Muller returns, but then Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand winner to the left with a bit on that. For in the tie break in the second set, Alexandre Muller with a wide serve bit on it. Jakub Mensik forehand return, but then Alexandre Muller to net, shorter forehand, shorter backhand volley rather to the left. Jakub Mensik onto it and returns, but then on the next shot of the net, Alexandre Muller with a backhand volley to the right from out the net, and it's a winner. 6-5 Alexandre Muller in the tie break in the second set. Set point for Alexandre Muller, and Alexandre Muller serving the next point. Alexandre Muller with a centre of the box serve. Jakub Mensik forehand turns right. Alexandre Muller strikes a backhand to the right, bit on it. Then forehand. Then Jakub Mensik backhand centre. Alexandre Muller backhand slice to the right. Then Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand to the right, bit on it. And then backhand to backhand. And then Alexandre Muller with forehand to right. Jakub Mensik forehand to left. And forehand slice to the left from Alexandre Muller. And Jakub Mensik returns. But then Alexandre Muller strikes a forehand to the left with a bit on it. And the match is level at 1 set all. So on serve in the second set, Alexandre Muller serving 30-15. Alexandre Muller with central serve bit on it. Jakub Mensik forehand return. Alexandre Muller with a forehand struck a bit on it. Jakub Mensik returns, but then Alexandre Muller with a backhand volley to the left, and it's a winner. So 1-1 on serve at the start of the second set. Jakub Mensik serving 30-15. And Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, and then Alexandre Muller strikes a backhand turn. Jakub Mensik forehand to left, and Alexandre Muller forehand to right, and Jakub Mensik and strikes a forehand to left with a bit on it, and it's a winner. So 3-3 on serve. Jakub Mensik serving, love 15. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve bit on it. Alexandre Muller bit on that return, forehand, and then Jakub Mensik forehand to left, and Alexandre Muller forehand to left with a bit on it. Jakub Mensik backhand slice turn, Alexandre Muller further forward, strikes a forehand to the right, and Alexandre Muller, but then Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand short angled passing shot return to the left, and it's a winner. Alexandre Muller with a breaker serve in the third set rather, at 5-4. Alexandre Muller, third set rather, not second set. Anyway, Alexandre Muller with a wide serve. Jakub Mensik forehand return centre. Alexandre Muller strikes back and left, a bit on that, backhand to backhand. And then Jakub Mensik forehand to left, and Alexandre Muller forehand to right, and Jakub Mensik then forehand to left, and Alexandre Muller forehand to left for a bit on that. Jakub Mensik backhand return, then further forward, Alexandre Muller with forehand, and then to the net. As Jakub Mensik with backhand return, but then on the next shot, Alexandre Muller at the net with backhand drop volley to the centre. And it's a winner. On serve in the third set, Alexandre Muller serving. And Alexandre Muller with a centre of the box serve, and then forehand to forehand. Then Jakub Mensik backhand to left, and Alexandre Muller backhand to right, and Jakub Mensik backhand to left, and Alexandre Muller backhand to the right. Then Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to the right, bit on that. Alexandre Muller forehand drop shot, then Jakub Mensik onto it with backhand side shot. Muller will return, and Mensik with volley, and then a backhand lob from Alexandre Muller to the right over Jakub Mensik, and it's a winner, 40-30. Alexandre Muller with a wide serve bit on that. Jakub Mensik backhand return. Alexandre Muller backhand to right. Jakub Mensik backhand to left. Alexandre Muller backhand to the left. Jakub Mensik forehand to the right. And Alexandre Muller forehand to left. Forehand to forehand. And Jakub Mensik with forehand to right bit on that. Alexandre Muller forehand return to the left. And then forehand to forehand. And Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the right with a bit on that. And Alexandre Muller forehand to the right with a bit on it. Then backhand to backhand. Then Mensik for backhand to the centre. And Alexandre Muller forehand to the right. And Jakub Mensik forehand to the right, forehand to forehand. Alexandre Muller forehand slice turns left, and Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand to left for a bit on that, and then backhand to backhand. And then Alexandre Muller strikes a backhand to left for a bit on that, forehand slice turn from Jakub Mensik, and a forehand drop shot there from Alexandre Muller. Jakub Mensik onto it with a forehand slice shot, and then Alexandre Muller's backhand passing shot to the right is out. Alexandre Muller with a central serve bit on that. Jakub Mensik backhand turn. Alexandre Muller forward strikes a backhand to the left, and then Jakub Mensik with a forehand return, but then Alexandre Muller with a backhand volley to the centre, and it's a winner. Alexandre Muller with a serve centre bit on that. Jakub Mensik backhand turn. Alexandre Muller strikes forehand to right bit on that. Jakub Mensik backhand lob return. It's over Alexandre Muller with Muller forward by the net, and it's a backhand lob winner from Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik with the third set, 7-5. So 2-1 to Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik serving. Jakub Mensik serving at the start of the fourth set, 40-30. Jakub Mensik with a server a bit on that, centre to wide, then backhand to backhand. Alexandre Muller then backhand to left. Jakub Mensik forehand to the right, and Alexandre Muller forehand centre a bit on that. Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to forehand, forehand to forehand. Then Jakub Mensik forehand to left, and Alexandre Muller backhand slice to right. Jakub Mensik backhand centre, and Alexandre Muller backhand to left for a bit on that. Jakub Mensik forehand shot return, and Alexandre Muller forehand to the right, and Jakub Mensik backhand return, then backhand Alexandre Muller stop net and over net to the left, and then Jakub Mensik then strikes a forehand with a bit on it to the left, and it's a winner for Jakub Mensik to hold that service game. Jakub Mensik with a breaker serve in the fourth set. 15 love. Jakub Mensik serving. Jakub Mensik with a central serve with a bit on it. Then forehand to forehand. And Alexandre Muller backhand to the centre. And Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to left a bit on that. Alexandre Muller backhand side turn. And further forward. Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to left a bit on that. And Alexandre Muller returns and forehand shot. Jakub Mensik. And then Alexandre Muller strikes forehand to right a bit on that. Jakub Mensik returns and backhand Volley from Alexandre Muller over there, and Jakub Mensik returns, and then Alexandre Muller with the next shot, just by the net of a forehand volley to the left, and it's a winner. So 40-30, Jakub Mensik with a centre boxer a bit on it, and then backhand turn from Muller, forehand from Mensik, backhand slice, Alexandre Muller, backhand from Mensik's left, Alexandre Muller, backhand slice to the right, and then backhand from Mensik's left, backhand slice to the right from Alexandre Muller, backhand slice to the right from Mensik, and then forehand to forehand, and then Alexandre Muller forehand to right, and then backhand from Jakub Mensik centre, Alexandre Muller forehand to left, and Jakub Mensik with forehand struck to right, and Alexandre Muller forehand slice return, and the shot from Muller and Mensik, but Jakub Mensik's last shot on the point is a backhand struck to the right, but just out. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve with a bit on that, and then backhand to backhand, and Jakub Mensik's backhand is struck to the right, a bit on that. Alexandre Muller forehand slice turn, Jakub Mensik further forward, strike forward to left, a bit on that. Alexandre Muller lob return, overhead smash from Jakub Mensik. Alexandre Muller returns, and Jakub Mensik strikes to forehand to left for a bit on that. Alexandre Muller lob return, and then an overhead smash to the right from Jakub Mensik, and it's a winner to maintain the breaker serve. Jakub Mensik serving 15-0. Jakub Mensik with a centre serve bit on that. Alexandre Muller backhand block return. Jakub Mensik further forward strikes backhand to right. Alexandre Muller returns, but then out of that, Jakub Mensik with a forehand volley to the left, and it's a winner. 40-30. And Jakub Mensik with a wide serve. Alexandre Muller returns to centre, and then forehand from Jakub Mensik, strike back, forehand slice rather from Alexandre Muller, forehand, and then Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the right, and Alexandre Muller strikes a backhand to the right with a bit on it, and it's a winner. Alexandre Muller serving 40-15. Jakub Mensik with a breaker serve in this fourth set, and Alexandre Muller with a serve to centre, a bit on that. Jakub Mensik backhand return to left, and then backhand to backhand, drop shot to the right from Jakub Mensik, and it's a winner. A bit on that drop shot. Alexandre Muller with a serve centre to right. Jakub Mensik a bit on that forehand return. Alexandre Muller forehand to right, and then backhand to backhand, and Jakub Mensik forehand to right, and Alexandre Muller forehand to right. Then Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to left, and Alexandre Muller backhand returns right, and Jakub Mensik backhand slice turns left, and Alexandre Muller forehand to the left, but just out. Match point, Jakub Mensik. Alexandre Muller with a central serve, a bit on that. Jakub Mensik forehand returns to centre, a bit on it. Alexandre Muller forehand, and Mensik was shot backhand. Alexandre Muller. Jakub Mensik and strikes a backhand to right, a bit on that. Alexandre Muller forehand to Jakub Mensik forehand returning. Alexandre Muller further forward, strikes a forehand to the right with a bit on that, and then Jakub Mensik with a backhand lob return to the right, just out. So 5-3, Jakub Mensik in the fourth set, with a break of serve, and Jakub Mensik serving. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, a bit on that, but just out. So second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, a bit on that. Alexandre Muller forehand return centre. Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand to left, and back on Alexandre Muller, forehand to left from Jakub Mensik. Alexandre Muller strikes forehand to the left with a bit on that, but then forehand to forehand, and then Jakub Mensik then strikes a forehand to the left. 15-0. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, bit on that. Alexandre Muller backhand block return, and then Jakub Mensik in net strikes a shot, and then Alexandre Muller with a lob return, but then just by net, Jakub Mensik with an overhead smash to the right, and it's a winner. 30-15. Jakub Mensik with a serve centrally. Alexandre Muller forehand return centre, and Jakub Mensik forehand to left, and then backhand to backhand. And then Alexandre Muller backhand to right, and Jakub Mensik backhand to left, and Alexandre Muller backhand to the centre, and Jakub Mensik with forehand to right, Alexandre Muller forehand to left. Mensik forehand, Alexandre Muller forehand to right with a bit on that. Jakub Mensik returns, and therefore Alexandre Muller rather strikes a backhand angle shot to the right, but it's just out. 2 match points for Jakub Mensik. 40-15. Jakub Mensik with the centre of the box there, a bit on that, and then forehand. Jakub Mensik's forehand to the left, a bit on that. Alexandre Muller backhand return, backhand slice from Alexandre Muller to the right, and Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to right, a bit on that. Forehand to forehand. Jakub Mensik's forehand to the left, stroke is a bit on that. Slice return from Alexandre Muller, and Jakub Mensik strikes another forehand to the left for a bit on it. Alexandre Muller another slice return. Then Jakub Mensik strikes another forehand to the left for a bit on it. And then Alexandre Muller with a backhand return to the right after that. Just out, game, set and match. Jakub Mensik by 3-1. 7-5, 6-7, 7-5, 6-3. Well, a match of ball striking and drop shot, net play, volleys, and a bit of power. And Jakub Mensik in a competitive 4-set match maintains enough of a level to win over the match in 4 sets by 3-1. 7-5, 6-7, 7-5, 6-3.